Welcome back to the channel. Today is fuel system day. I'm going to be upgrading the factory in-tank pump to some dual pumps, and it's a KPM 1500 system that is offered by Areomotive. They've basically re-engineered it a little bit and put their expertise on the system. It's an allied kit and should be everything I need for fuel system for the car moving forward for a while. To do so, I'm gonna have to drop the fuel tank. I'm gonna have to pull some of the interior out. I'm gonna have to pull the trunk apart and run some lines and run some wires. So I'm gonna do all that while the engine's still out of the car, just to get the extra room. And it should be a pretty good unit when it's all done. Lots of pump for my power goals for this year on ethanol, and I'm hoping it should take care of all my fuel starvation issues I had last year. So I'll just run through it really quick there on the bench and we'll get after it. So here we have the KPM Areomotive 1500 Allied kit. And what we have here is this is the new fuel pump assembly. And it has dual Bosch racing pumps. And I believe these are rated for 540 liters per hour each. The factory ZL1 5th gen pump in tank that I'm running right now is 460 liters per hour. So this will be a significant upgrade for in tank. And it's not just a factory assembly. This is their system. It's all completely redesigned by KPM. It's got an upgraded Venturi system. It's supposed to flow more and pull more, keeps the bucket full. And then Areomotive replaces their low pressure regulator with a higher pressure relief pressure regulator. And this is at 65 PSI is what that one's set for. So more flow at higher pressure. It also comes with a new sending unit, some spacers for the tank that you have to install just to give yourself some clearance once the new unit's in. And then along with this system is the speed controller of the pumps. So what this does is it takes signal from the factory fuel pump control module. So in the tune, when your ECM demands more pump and it wants to speed up your pump, this will take a signal from it and it'll speed up the new pumps in the new module. So it just works like a factory settings. There's no there's no crazy tuning involved or anything like that. It doesn't even know it's there. So it just ramps the pumps up and pumps down as needed, controlled by the factory fuel pump control module. This is a returnless system. There is no return line. This is a dead end system, just like the factory one. I could have went with a return system, but then they don't have any decent return systems that have a nice module. They're just usually a hanger in the tank, and you can run out of fuel if you're below half a tank. You have starvation issues under hard acceleration. This will not have any of those issues because this is like a factory style hat where the reservoir is always full for the pumps. So that's just a quick overview on it, and kind of show you what I have in store for running new lines and how I'm all going to integrate this. So let's have a look at the current fuel system. So I'm running the factory in-tank pump. Like I said, it's 460 liters per hour is what it's rated for. I'm also running a DSX auxiliary fuel pump with an upgraded pump to an AEM 400, which I believe is rated at 400 or 420 liters per hour, which is higher than the DSX pump. And that you know, I'm pretty sure I was right around 1,000 rear wheel horse. On the dyno, I made 991 with the smaller blower. So I'm sure I made more than that with the 2650. But my plan is to keep all that intact. I'm not going to rip any of that out. What I'm going to do is run all new Dash 8 lines coming off the tank and follow it all the way to the engine bay up to the fuel rail. And I'm going to keep the DSX system active with the new system. I'm just going to tee it into the new Dash 8. This is all Dash 6, but the DSX will stay Dash 6 and just tee into the new Dash 8 line. So that's the plan. So first couple things is get the exhaust off, the drive shaft off, and start pulling the gas tank and get to the fuel pump. Well, that sucked. That wasn't easy getting that tank out of there, but it's out. I washed off the top of the tank, got it all clean. So the next steps are going to be disconnecting the power for the fuel pump and the pressure sensor line that goes, or sorry, that's the fuel outlet line, and there's the fuel pump pressure sensor right there. So I'm going to disconnect this, get it out of the way using my locking ring tool, purchased on Amazon, 20 bucks. Hopefully I don't have to use it again for a very long time, but I'll take the ring off, get the pump out, get the crossover hose disconnected from the bottom, carefully take it out without messing up the sending units, and prep the new one. So here's the situation. We have the KPM pump, which is here with the dual 540s. This is the factory Z01 with the single 460 pump. So what I'm going to do, the new unit does come with the sending unit, but sometimes the ohms are out a little bit for whatever reason. I'm not going to screw around, and I'm just going to transfer the old unit onto the new pump unit. So the old sending unit onto the pump unit. So that's pretty easy. Just a couple clips and a connector here. Just put it on. the new pump. Also, there's going to be some electrical wires I'm going to have to run. These are the new leads for the pump, as well as the factory tie-in as well. And because I am going to be upgrading to -8 line, I have a adapter that goes on here, screws together for -8 fuel line. And this is the factory one, as you can see here, and then goes to the pressure sensor, and then this is the outlet that goes to the fuel line that goes up to the rail on the motor. So what I need to do is adapt basically -8 all the way down. I just basically need to rebuild this with -8 lines and reinstall the fuel pump pressure sensor along the way. So I went and got this as well, and it's -8 by -8 with a 1/8 MPT. So I'll be able to reconstruct this all in -8 instead of this -6 flimsy plastic garbage. With some braided PTFE -8 line. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch that over, tighten this up. I'm going to lock thread every connection with some blue lock thread here. All my fittings I can't get to are going to be a little bit of blue lock thread on the threads because I'm paranoid. Also, the kit comes with a new seal for the pump, and these are spacers that have to be installed on the fuel tank to give yourself extra clearance, because if you can tell, this fuel pump neck is reinforced and it's slightly bigger than the factory one. So you need spacing. So those are going to be going on top of the fuel tank to give this spacing to the frame. So I'm going to start working on that and drop the pump back in. The leads off the pump are all done. I ran the positive and negative terminals alongside of the fuel outlet. That's the new dash 8 line, came down here. You can see the factory pressure sensors in place. This is dash 8 by 1/8 MPT. So that's all in place, all zip tied. And then these leads, I'm gonna fish up through the grommet on the body. That's going to go up to the controller in the trunk. So we'll have a look at that next. So let's turn the light on here. There's the controller and that's going to be mounted probably here or here. I haven't really decided yet. But the way this plumbs in is you have your battery and the leads from the pump go to the negative. Then you have pump positive and battery positive. Then off the controller, you have a 2-wire connector, and you actually only need one of these wires. It's either yellow if you're running fuel pump control module negative circuit activation, and the gray is for positive circuit activation, which is for my car. So these leads, I'm going to run all the wires along here through the firewall. Well, it's not the firewall, trunk wall. And then I'm going to follow the factory battery cable to here. Then I'm going to run it along the seat frame down to there, through the grommet to the tank. So I'll start running those wires now. So here we are on the passenger side underneath the car. I ran the 2 control wires, positive and negative, for the fuel pump control module signal. Now, as I stated before, you only need one or the other. Either gray for the positive signal or yellow for a negative signal. This being a GM, gray, I'll take the signal from the gray positive. So it's ran along the inside and then down. I'm going to run it through the grommet, undo this Tesla tape, run it. Obviously I got way too much, so I'm going to trim it short. And this is the positive for the fuel pump control module on the battery harness that connects to the pump up in the tank. So instead of running it up there, I'm just going to tie it in here. So if I have to take the tank off in the future, and just be easy to disconnect. So I'm going to strip this, take the connector apart, pull it out, strip it back, wire it in, heat shrink it, put it all back together, clean it up all nice and neat. And then at that point, all I have to do is run the positive and negative from the fuel pump up through here, back to the control unit that I mounted in the trunk. And then she'll be done on the wiring side. Plumbing is all done. So we're going to start here. This is the DSX suction line -6, which I already had installed. Goes up through the pump, discharge, back to the new, ties in -6 to -8 to the new -8 line. So coming off the pump, I have my pressure sensor right there, it's tied in. Then I have the new line ran, which goes here underneath the tray, little protector tray. And I have it ran along here through a 10 micron filter, up through here, through factory mounts, where the original 3/8 line was. Up here, under some more shielding, more factory brackets utilized. Then underneath some more heat shielding. And then it goes up here, and this is where it exits. So this is where it'll tie into the fuel rail. I have a bunch of extra because I need to make sure I get the right length before I cut and terminate it for the fuel rail. So yeah, that turned out pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Looks pretty clean, it's pretty secure. Using all the factory mounts, except, well, obviously this one, but that's not a big deal. It's all solid, it's secured. Rock shield, everything's been tightened up, ready to go. I'm gonna secure this DSX lines a little better once this quick jacks are out of the way and it's back on the wheels, because it's off the hoist right now, just sitting on the quick jacks. So yeah, that turned out pretty good. Nice and neat. Not nothing hanging out of the way. So I'll show the rest of the wiring system. So the finished wiring on the pump system, as you can see, is coming up from the pump. There's 3 wires coming up from the pump, the positive and negative to the pump, and the fuel pump control module positive trigger. Comes up through here, runs along the factory battery cable, and then up through the back seat. Comes down, around along the battery cable, and then up to the Vaporworks controller, which is now Areomotive. So we have battery positive, and then we have battery negative, which is also the negative for the lead for the pump, and then pump lead positive. And then here's the trigger wire for the fuel pump control module, just a 2-wire plug-in. There's a gray and a yellow. The yellow is not being used, the gray is the trigger. And then obviously leads to the battery, positive and negative, which is also the center post. Goes to the negative lead on the battery. And I won't plug that in until I'm completely ready and all my grounds are in place on the car. And then I'll prime the system and check for leaks and hopefully fire it up and no issues. Well, that's it for the install for the KPM 1500 Allied kit from Areomotive. Installation went pretty good. There was a couple odds and ends that I needed to wait on. Otherwise, a guy could do this in the afternoon. It's not that difficult. The wiring's pretty straightforward. Running the lines and getting the right fittings that I need to tie in my auxiliary fuel pump, that just took a little time, and building the new lines took a little extra time. This kit, you do not need to do that from the factory. You can just plug and play and run all factory lines, and you don't have to replace the fuel line. But I decided to go with a -8 instead of a -6 line, just for extra volume. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with the kit. Installation went good, looks nice and neat, clean. Should have all the pump that I'm going to need this year, with the 2 540 liter per hour pumps in tank and my already existing 400 liter per hour DSX aux pump. I should have lots of pump on E85 for all the power goals this year. So I hope you enjoyed it and were able to get something out of this if you're planning on doing something like this or installing the exact same KPM 1500 kit. So if you like, subscribe, share, and we'll catch you next time.